Hello and welcome in, loves. My name is Doña, aka Doña the Light. Welcome back to another stream. If you're catching this live stream here on Twitch, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. If you're catching this replay on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is going to play out like a video podcast with not much happening in the video. It'll be a relatively long discussion. Usually they're about an hour. But feel free to just pop me on in the background and just listen in. DJ, I need you to be quiet, please. If you are catching this replay, again, this is going to play like a video podcast. Heavy on the podcast, light on the video. So just pop me on in the background and, yeah, just listen in. Hey, Shaka, welcome in. Welcome in, Spuddy. Good morning. DJ is here, and he is anxiously waiting for people to say hello to him in the chat, so feel free to do so. For those of you that are catching this stream here on Twitch, please check out my merch. Look, hi DJ, hi DJ. Check out my merch. I'm not wearing anything today. My sweatshirt is dirty because I wear it so often. Shh. Okay, I need you to whisper. Purge the merch. Exactly. It's just that simple. Just purge the merch. Just purge the merch. Right, exactly. And congratulations to Shaka for quitting her toxic job. I am very proud of you. And yeah. Yes, it is happening. It is happening. Or it has happened, I should say. Here, buddy. Alright. Also, just heads up, DJ's very sneezy, and so am I, so there might be some sneezes. Alright, so today we're going to talk about sex, and we're going to talk about what love has to do with it. Okay? So let's just get on into it. So I'm gonna start off, of course, with my perception and my point of view, because that's all I can really talk about is my own point of view. So for me, when I was younger, I never had a conversation about sex with my mom. I also didn't grow up in a two-parent household, so there's a lot of things that contributed to, right? Like, I didn't get to see two people, you know, like in love or like being affectionate and blah, blah, blah. In addition to that, my mom was not affectionate, like at all. Still isn't. So when it comes to sex, it's like I very much so felt as though sex and love were like synonymous, and that they were very aligned, and that they, you know, like you couldn't have one without the other. And so after I started college, first of all, I didn't lose my virginity until I started college. Yes, DJ?
And it said, oh, sorry, you wake up.
That's okay, DJ. It's okay. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't lose my virginity until I started college. So that'll kind of give you a little bit of a timeline based on, you know, when my journey with sex first began. But after that happened, you know, it was, I don't know, it left a lot to be desired. But there was never a time in which I had a conversation to kind of differentiate, you know, where love began and sex ended, or when sex ended and love began, or when love began. I think I said that twice. I did say that twice. So I didn't know what the difference was, you know, because essentially all I had to guide me was like movies and media and TV shows, right? And when it comes to the portrayal of sex and love and all that stuff in TV shows, typically they make it seem as though they are synonymous, right? Especially from the woman's perspective, because they make it seem as though, you know, even if the man is you know, not super interested and just wants to have sex just to have sex, the woman is always like tethered, you know, after that experience. Like, they've never shown both sides, where they show a man who's sexually free and a woman who's sexually free, or, you know, just a woman who's sexually free and a man who gets, well, no, there's probably been situations in which, you know, just the man is attached and the woman isn't, or whatever. If you have to blow your nose, I need you to do it in your room, okay? But there just weren't any conversations that I've had with anybody in my life surrounding this topic, right? Because, I mean, essentially, you know, the birds and the bees conversation, I don't even remember if and when that took place with my mom. Excuse me. So when I think about like moving forward and feeling as though I was, you know, prepared to be in a romantic relationship, that, you know, my first couple relationships didn't lead to sex, but eventually when I got to college, I thought, okay, well, I think I'm ready, you know, to give it a try. And it was weird. It was real strange. And I definitely didn't feel, I didn't feel as though, as though I loved the guy who I lost my virginity to. But I did feel as though losing my virginity to him was going to, like, some way, somehow make him like me more. You know what I mean? Like, some way, somehow I assumed that us sharing that together was going to, well, not sharing it because he didn't lose his with me. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't share that, if that makes sense. But I very much so thought that I don't know, I just thought that, you know, some sort of relationship was going to happen. For the most part, I also did it because I wanted him to like me. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be approved of. I was seeking the approval of not only him, but just my peers in general. And, you know, thinking back on that night and on that moment, it was blah, you know? And I think one of the primary reasons why is because, good morning, Lincoln, welcome in. Lincoln DJ is in the chat and he is anxiously waiting for you to say hello. I think one of the reasons was because, I don't know, I felt like I gave something, so, you know, that should be enough. And we should essentially be able to, I don't know, build some sort of relationship moving forward. I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but I was definitely expecting more than just kind of being kicked to the curb and, you know, essentially that being the end of any conversation, anything that we engaged in together, like, at all. Like, it was basically just a hookup and that was it. And I didn't have anybody to talk to regarding, you know, like, how that made me feel. What? Who is Dev Jimmy Boy? I'm very confused. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I didn't have anybody to talk to share, you know, like, my disappointment and, you know, how I felt before, how I felt afterwards. Like, I had friends in college, but none of my friends, I didn't have, you know, like, an intimate, safe relationship with any of my friends at that point where I could share those kinds of things and expect to be heard, you know, and not, like, my feelings or what I had to say be, you know, minimized or diminished. Good morning, DJ. Look at that. Look at that. Good morning, DJ. So I just kind of, you know, like a lot of things and a lot of people, I just kind of went through it alone. And it was rough, especially being in college, you know, where everything is new. The whole experience is new. Living on campus is new. You know, that was my first time living away from home. So, and I wasn't super far from home, which was great. But, you know, it's my first time living away from home. And there was just a lot of new stuff happening, you know? Like, just college life in general. You know, having to go to class on your own. And just a lot of stuff. So, that pretty much sparked my journey into not understanding where sex ended and love began, or love began and sex ended, or if there even was, you know, a line to draw between them. They were just blurred together, and it wasn't even like love that I was seeking, it was like approval. And I just wanted people to like me. Primarily men. I just wanted men to like me. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be one of those people. Hey, Raylene, good morning, love. Or good afternoon for you. I wanted men to, like, I wanted to be wanted. I wanted to be, like, desired. And I really thought that, like, sex was the way to do that. I thought that was, like, my in, you know, if I would just... My goodness, I'm so sorry for yawning so much. If I would just, you know, show up in that way and be available. Hiya, DJ.
Hi, y'all.
Be available to men, primarily. Bless you.
Just go for my mouth.
That if I were available, some kind of good, I don't know. Not good, but something would come from it, you know? I'm not really sure. Again, I don't know what I was expecting. It was more so, I know for a fact, like I can remember very clearly that I wanted to be accepted and I wanted to be liked. Another like small piece of that is the fact that when I went to school, I had a very, very small Black population. So I kind of felt the need to keep up appearances, you know, so to speak, with the Black kids on campus. Even though, like, that wasn't a thing. Like, it wasn't... We didn't have conversations about, like, oh, you're a virgin, or oh, you've only had sex one time, like, you know, you're beneath us, or whatever. But it was, like, just what I perceived and what I thought. DJ, your tissue box is over here. You brought your tissue box in here. I just assumed that because of the way that they carried themselves, because of the way they moved through the world, all of these things, you know, I was just making assumptions and just assuming that, you know, because of blank, they must be blank, you know. Raylene says, same, I was the only POC in the entire year. Oh, that's so rough, you know, like, go ahead, buddy. It does... Especially when you're in such a fragile state of, like, being a freshman, it can be so damaging. And if it's, like, the first time it's ever happened, you know, because I didn't experience that in high school, like, at all. I mean, the Black population at my high school was definitely smaller than the Hispanic or Latin population, but it didn't feel the same at all. It didn't feel the same. And even the Latin population at my college was pretty small. It just felt weird. Like, it felt even more pressure to move and behave in a certain way, because, you know, there's such a small Black population. And then I went to a pretty small school, so our classes were really small, so that made it even more apparent, you know, the lack of diversity, because you'd legitimately be in a class and it would just be me. Just me. And I was painfully aware that it was just me. Anywho, DJ, I need you to whisper if you have something to say. I think that played a role. Again, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it's painful. It is so painful. But essentially, yeah, so that's where my journey kind of began with, like, not really understanding, I mean, just the difference of anything. Like, sex, intimacy, love, and that I didn't know where this deep desire to be like liked or approved of. Now I know for a fact that it's actually a biological thing. So children biologically, or humans biologically, move from seeking the approval of other or of adults, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Seeking the approval of adults, right? And like children his age, and up to about, okay, buddy, up to about 10 or 11 years old, I want to say. Children are still in that phase of seeking the approval of adults, right? They want to be liked by their teachers, they want to be liked by their parents, yada, yada, yada. And that doesn't necessarily go completely away, but it does shift into seeking the approval of their peers. And it shifts hard and heavy, like it's rough, along with a whole onslaught of other hormonal changes and impacts. Lincoln says, my introduction to sex was out of rebellion for being taught the evils of sex, over religious family members, and longing to be accepted in a group I felt was my own. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I didn't even, like, I wonder what that would have been like, you know, to be, and Lincoln, if you don't mind me asking, how old were you? Like, what age were you when that rebellion, you know, got to the point where you're like, I'm going to do it, and you did it? Because I was 17 or 18. I was 19. Okay, got it. Yeah, so those are the years. So first, this shift begins to happen in humans, children's, adolescents, preteens, around 12, 13 years old, right? That's why middle school kids are so nuts. Because middle school kids from the ages of like 12 to 14, 11 to 14, are going through such immense biological, hormonal, all kinds of changes. And one of those really, really hard shifts is they begin seeking the approval of their peers. And, you know, that's where like bullying can get really, really heavy, because, you know, they want to fit in, they want to fight to be accepted into, like Lincoln said, a group that they feel is their own. And they do all of these things in order to get this approval. And they, you know, don't. And here's the thing. And I know that we can all attest to this. Like, we know the implications of our behavior. Like, we know the consequences, negative, positive, neutral, of our behavior. But the desire to do it is so much stronger than, oh, what about this consequence? Like, if I set this on fire, if I set this field on fire, there's a possibility that that house that's a mile away could also catch on fire. And I'm aware of that. You know what I mean? I'm aware that there's a chance that this could potentially happen. But my desire to want to see this entire field burn is so much higher than me taking into consideration that possible consequence. Lincoln says, oh, I was very repressed with my preteens. I could have had lost my virginity really young, but I still had personal morals around it. Ah, okay, so you're talking about the personal morals that were kind of, what's it called? Like, placed upon you based on your over-religious family, or did you mean something different? And that's another aspect to it, right? There's this aspect of sex that, you know, like Lincoln mentioned it being evil, people mentioned it being dirty, especially in regards to women, right? Like, you're supposed to keep your flower and remain pure and do all of these things. I didn't really hear those types of things. When I was younger, I was still like, I wouldn't say, I don't know, I guess you could say sexually active, but not really. Like, not sexually active, as in sex, like penetration, but I definitely was like sort of aware of my body, you know what I mean? Like, I was sort of aware of like what kind of touch I enjoyed, you know what I mean? Like, blah 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 blah, but I didn't really know what to do with that information. But I didn't feel ready to have like real, quote unquote, like penetrative sex at that point. Lincoln says, kind of placed on me from my upbringing around consequences of unsafe sex and the lack of safe options as a preteen in the late 90s. I feel that. And I definitely feel that consequences of unsafe sex still needs to be a very, very heavily discussed topic, because far too often we kind of just leave it up to chance. You know what I mean? When you're having sex with someone. And it's like, we have to understand that there is literally there's no type of contraception, condom, plan B. There's no option that will keep you 100% safe from getting pregnant except abstinence. Literally just not engaging in penetrative sex is the only way to not become pregnant. Now, when it comes to like sexually transmitted diseases and infections, then yes, a condom is going to help. You know, that has been statistically proven. But when it comes to pregnancy, it's a whole different ballgame. And I don't believe that enough people really understand, like, it doesn't take much to get someone pregnant. Lincoln says, abstinence is easy to teach to virgins, but once you had it a while, you know what I'm saying. Look, I'm not saying, well, here's another aspect of it too, right? A lot of us believe that sexual energy has to be used, like, or can only be used, or can only be, I don't know, doused or whatever by having sex. And that's not true. You know, sexual energy is actually very creative energy. It's a very interesting kind of energy. But because our culture is so ingrained in, like, once you get the urge, like, you gotta fuck it. You have to, yeah, it can be released a lot of different ways. Once you get the urge, you have to release it, you know, and the only way that you know how, and no one is taught other ways to release that energy, or transform that energy, transmute that energy, or whatever. It doesn't, it doesn't have to be used in that way, because if you believe that it has to be used that way, then you, in a sense, you also believe that it's someone else's responsibility, right? Because if you believe that you have to engage in sex with another person in order to release that energy, then now you have to, like, go find another person, you know what I mean, to release that energy with. The reality is, first of all, you are solely responsible for managing your sexual energy, not anyone else. It is not your partner's responsibility. It's not your wife's responsibility. It is no one's responsibility or obligation to help you manage your sexual energy. That's on you, because it just is. I mean, it's your energy. You are responsible for it, just like everything else in your life.
Auntie just texted.
Let me see.
The green one with the letter A.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I can text her later.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so that's another, like, aspect that gets misconstrued, and that's something that I was definitely subjected to in college. It was like, oh, you know, if you're kissing someone or flirting with someone, or, you know, having a conversation and there's touching and all this stuff, it's like, oh, well, now you got me going, so now you gotta take me all the way because you got me going. Interesting. Oh, I love you too, DJ. Lincoln says, I could take that. It definitely is my issue that I externalize it. I feel that, and I appreciate you taking accountability for it. But yeah, I mean, and now, you know, now we're trickling into consent, you know. But again, we have to consider the fact that if people are not having these conversations with their children, like, like, early on, these are not going to be things that they're considering when they're put in those kinds of situations, because again, peer pressure is real, and the desire to be liked and accepted is real. So I get myself in a situation where I quote unquote get a man going, and then I feel pressured to just continue because he said, well, now that you got me going, now you got to finish it. Lincoln says, there are mechanisms for me to move that energy, but a sense of longing is still there. But why? Have you explored that in yourself and tried to determine why that sense of longing is still there? Or perhaps the sense of longing isn't actually sexual at all, but it's intimacy that you're craving or something different that you're craving.
These are numbers.
I know, I see all the numbers, 1 to 10. But I think it's really important that we get really curious about why we feel that way instead of just like resorting to, the same thing that we've always done, and then once we, can't have it or feel deprived or whatever, then we feel angry. Right. It isn't sexual. It's more bonding and intimacy. Right. Got you. So then how do you fulfill that need, or how do you fulfill that want or desire or whatever? Because that's also something that I never took into consideration, how when you are having sex with someone, typically you're both very present.
It's Crystal.
That's fine, buddy. You're both very present, and so it does feel very intimate, and you are bonding in that moment. But just as quickly as it began, it could be over, depending on the person that you're engaging in the activity with. Lincoln says friendships, socializing. Does that fill that need for you? Does that fill that desire for you? Or do you still feel, even more longing after that, as if your cup still just like isn't full? And is there a way that you could fulfill that need in yourself by yourself? Like, is that possible? Lincoln says, yeah, I fulfills that pillar. Okay, for sure. I can feel it. And I appreciate you sharing, Lincoln. I really do. But, yeah, it's really easy to talk about, people being pressured or feeling pressured into engaging in some sort of sexual activity when they don't want to. And then people from the outside saying, well, why didn't you just say no? Why didn't you just say stop? And it's like, because often the pressures are too heavy for you to feel as though you have the autonomy to say that, even if you don't really want to, like, because your desire to be liked and accepted is so much stronger than your desire to kind of serve yourself or choose yourself in that moment. Lincoln says, however, I know for myself that I shouldn't fulfill that social need alone. I've been there. It's a dark place. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I kind of want to ask, but maybe I won't. And I wasn't necessarily thinking about the social need being filled alone, but more so the, I could talk about it. If you're down, please share. For me, I was thinking about more so the intimacy need, not necessarily the social need, because I see those as two separate pillars, so to say. But yeah, like what did that look like for you? Bless you, DJ.
Oh, thank you, Spud.
Such a dapper gentleman. Thank you, Spud. As a man, it is easy to be isolated and alone as you grow. Sorry I'm quiet, by the way, commuting to work. No worries, Raylene. Stay safe. It's all good. It's easy to be alone. Water. I don't even have any water.
No, you're talking about my water.
Where's your water? It's important to be social and get out of
downstairs. I'm
isolated places.
thirsty.
Okay, go get your water.
Okay, but I can't. Not right now. When you're done.
It's important to be social and get out of isolated places. It's easy to be. So, again, I can only relate to a certain extent because I am not a man. However, I think we were talking about this the other day about how, oh yeah, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Okay, DJ, I need you to whisper, please. It was yesterday about how, what was it? It was us mentioning, I think it was you specifically, Lincoln, that mentioned, you had the opportunity to kind of witness relationships that you let fizzle due to the grind. You know what I mean? Isolated men turn to bad social circles, crime, or whatever. Ah, I see. But I feel like even in those bad social circles, you're still getting some sort of need fulfilled, right? The need of feeling wanted, the need of feeling accepted, the need of feeling as if you, like have people that relate to you and things like that. But I definitely understand, that that's not ideal as far as where you would turn your energy and attention.
Raylan said, "Bless you, DJ."
I know. Bless you, DJ.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, little lady.
Thank you, Raylan. Oh, that doesn't work.
But, maybe, but the greater intent of the bad circle could be, for example, ISIS, anti-racial groups, criminal gangs, etc. I understand. I totally understand what you're saying as far as, the greater intent. I don't know what I said. The intent of, the bad circle could be terrible. I'm not going to say not bad, but it could be terrible. I feel sex and your social pillar are strongly linked. That's very interesting. Should sex, perhaps, in your opinion, be more of a social activity? Should there not be, or should, do you feel like society has a little bit of a gatekeeping around sex and that it should be, like very behind closed doors and like to yourself and we shouldn't talk about it and all that stuff? Yes.
Nobody was there. They're just those people.
I wouldn't say social equals public. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, social could definitely still be social and be private. That's very, very true. Oh, you're just awake now. You don't want to go back to sleep. You don't want to go back to sleep.
He said I want to play.
He wants to play.
Yeah.
Social as in communicative in various ways to your partner and also to yourself. I can appreciate that. I definitely agree that, excuse me, whisper please, that communication during sex, before, after, in all aspects of sexual activity is way, way, way underrated. And I think that's also something that we have to be encouraged to do and something that we have to learn, because again, that just goes back to autonomy and your ability to what's the word? I want to say stand up for yourself, kind of, oh, I don't like that, or that doesn't feel good, or I would enjoy it if you did this more, or blah 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 blah. Not just necessarily faster, slower, you know what I mean, to actually be in communication. And then on both sides of that, if your partner communicates with you before, during, or after sex, how are you interpreting that? Are you interpreting it as they're just communicating with me because they want to continue to enjoy this experience with me? Or are you interpreting it as, oh, I must be doing something wrong, they must not have liked it, maybe they don't want to do it again, I'm a bad partner, blah blah blah.
It's moving.
It's moving. Voltaire, welcome in, Voltaire. Communication is key. I agree. Voltaire, DJ is here. Please say hi to him in the chat if you have a moment. Voltaire says, I feel like isolation helps me grow from distraction and helps me find my peace. I never am isolated, so I'm sure it's different for everyone, but my best growth personally has been alone and lack the influence of negative vibes. That's for me personally speaking, though. See, and I see what you're saying, Voltaire. However, I believe there's a difference between isolation and being alone. I believe spending time alone is intentional and purposeful, whereas isolation is almost happens because you've pushed everyone away. You know what I mean? You've pushed everyone away. You don't want them to come back. And I don't believe isolation can be, started and stopped as easily as creating time and space for you to be alone, to work alone, because I definitely agree that, little baby hand. that spending time by yourself, you know, like yesterday evening is a perfect example. I literally popped in the group chat with me, Spuddy Jones, and my husband at like 6:30 p.m. my time, and was like, yo, I love you all, bye. And I put my phone on airplane mode and I was out. And I think I popped it back on because I needed to, DJ wanted to listen to a song. So I popped it back on. And then I popped it right back off. But it was necessary because I was overstimulated, and I knew that my overstimulation was going to lead me to seeking more stimulation, like on social media, instead of just like stopping. I also have a tendency to constantly check my phone even if I don't hear it. So that's a problem. Unless I'm like actually engaged with something. Like if I'm doing something like feeding the baby and I have like time and attention to spend elsewhere, then I'll still check my phone. Even if like my ringer is on or my sound is on, I still find myself checking my phone. So the solution to that for me was putting my phone on airplane mode, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to hear anything because there wouldn't be any notifications. So Voltaire says, facts. I see it now. I used to do that a lot in my 20s.
I'm not making music. I'm not a song. I'm just...
No, you wanted to listen to a song yesterday, remember?
Oh.
Yeah. Lincoln says, I agree. Being alone is reflective. Isolation is closing off your social pillar. Voltaire says, and my communication used to be bad, but it's something I've outgrown. Lincoln says, isolation can be self-prescribed or can happen from others. Oh, yeah. For example, controlling partners. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that's a perfect definition. Lincoln is being alone is reflective. Isolation is closing off your social pillar. Like, just, you know. DJ, it's too loud, buddy. I think that's a really, really great way to describe it. Excuse me. The lady.
Oh, excuse you.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
I'm excused.
Yes.
But yeah. Said all that to say, we, as a people, need to have more conversations surrounding sex, intimacy, love, friendship, social longing or social inclusion, the pressures that come along with all of those things, and you know how to like clearly communicate about those kinds of things. Because I don't think that now, I don't believe that sex has to come with love, or love has to come from sex. I believe that it can, but I also believe that without there being any sex at all, like all of the other things can absolutely thrive. Like love can thrive, intimacy can thrive, friendship can thrive. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different things that can thrive without having sex at all. But our culture makes us believe that if we love someone, then we should have sex with them. Like, what about the people who, like, physically cannot? What did you do? How did you get here? Here. But yeah, we just need to discuss more of those things. Like, you know, honestly, like, what does love have to do with sex? Or what does sex have to do with love? You know? What is the correlation between the two? And I'm talking about from personal experiences, not necessarily from, you know, what our culture tells us or what society tells us, but from your own personal experiences. You know, what is the relationship between sex and love? Do you feel like one is amplified by the other? Do you feel like they are necessary, like they're two peas in a pod? Do you believe that you can have one without the other? Have you seen in your own life that you can have one without the other? Because I definitely know that it's possible to love someone without ever having sex with them. You know? little baby. Little baby hand. Anyway, y'all. It's been a real chat. It's been a real combo. I would say for me, Lincoln says, if a potential partner told me that they never wanted to have sex, that'd be a hard sell. Just being honest. Why, Lincoln? Why? Because I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. Like, if all of a sudden Grover came up to me and told me, because I'm a dude, it's not because you're a dude, I'm a dog. No, you're not. If Grover came up to me and told me that he never wanted to have sex again, like moving forward in our relationship, I would ask why. And I mean, regardless of whatever his reason is, first I probably think to myself, what have I done recently? What have I done recently to bring this on? Voltaire, help me. But it's also because that is an activity that I genuinely enjoy with him. You know what I mean? So a part of me would think like, well, now there's, one less thing that we can do together to, there's one less thing that we can do together that we thoroughly enjoy. And it would kind of hurt because it's enjoyable and it's fun, and there's a lot more to it than just smash and run. I don't know, hit and run. It's a lot more that goes on in that connection. And also, he and I are both very spiritual, so sex is something pretty sacred to us. Pleasure, absolutely. There's pleasure involved. There's lots of pleasure involved. Hopefully. Hopefully. On both sides, both parties. But, yeah, it probably would hurt my feelings. I mean, Voltaire says, I used to talk to someone who wasn't into it like that. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to have sex, but I enjoy getting to know someone. I feel that. Lincoln says, don't kink shame non-pleasure. Just kidding. Spudwick says, I was saying it's more than just pleasure. Exactly. Voltaire says, still got the dog in him. But I believe that, honestly, and this is just my opinion and my perspective, I feel like men use that as an excuse as to why they can't go without it. When there might be, and I think can't go without it is one of those kinds of things where it's like, but there's probably been situations in your life and times within your life in which you have gone without it. You know what I mean? So, like, how did you survive those times that you went without it? You're still alive. What did you do? Voltaire says, facts, Budwitch, facts. Yeah, it's definitely more than just pleasure. I was miserable, but why? Why were you miserable, Lincoln? Was it actually, like, the sex and orgasms and like ejaculation? Like, was that the lack of that? Like, the actual penetration, is that what was making you miserable, the lack of that? Or was it all the rest of the things? You know what I mean? The intimacy, the touch, the communication, the bonding, the whatever. Voltaire says, I went without it for years, then went with it for years. Lincoln says, no, just longing. These were times. Oh, okay, like when I was deployed in combat zones. I feel that. See? And ouch. I feel like that's so difficult because, if you are deployed, and see, here's brings up a whole new like topic of the conversation because every human deserves to have their need of, intimacy and touch and all of those things met. But when you're deployed, how do you get those needs met if possible? It doesn't seem like it is possible, for you to have those needs met. And I believe it's definitely detrimental to our mental health, spiritual health, all kinds of aspects of our health. yeah, that's crud. Voltaire says, I think since my love language is acts of service, it's different for me. Oh, what do you mean, Voltaire? You mean because, like, you don't feel as though physical touch is as important or means as much to you? Voltaire says, thank you for your service, Lincoln. Lincoln says, it was a job. Trust, I wouldn't if the pay wasn't good. I feel it. I definitely feel it. But yeah, I definitely feel as though we all deserve, like every human, like I said, deserves to have those needs met or have access to those needs being met within ourselves and within our communities, you know. But for situations like that where you're deployed and you're literally, you know, on the other side of the globe, Lincoln says acts of service is important to me, but I feel like that is separate from sex to me. Yeah, for me, acts of service is doing things that I was going to do for me so that I don't have to. And sometimes it's like chores, and other times it's, you know, just those things that like need to happen around the house, at home. You know, like changing the oil on my car. Like even if you don't do it yourself, but like taking it to get done, or, you know, filling on my gas tank, like that kind of stuff. Stuff that I'm gonna have to do eventually. Like if you could take that off my plate, off my mind, whatever, that's like acts of service to me for sure. Lincoln says, like being told thank you for the things I do in the household is just a form of respect of my energy and time. I feel that. I definitely feel that. All right, my loves, I am getting really hungry. So we're going to wrap up this conversation. This is supposed to be a series, so we'll see. We will see where this conversation continues or where it continues to go. Thank you, everyone who has been active in the chat here today on Twitch. For everyone who caught the replay on YouTube, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Good start to the convo. Thank you, Lincoln. Thank you, Spuddy. Thank you, Spuddy. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. And that was deep. Thank y'all. Oh, my new Evo. Oh, thank you, y'all. I appreciate you all so much. I love you all so much. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out my merch. Voltaire, buy some merch. Lincoln, buy some merch. I'm calling y'all out. Do it. Everything that you see in my shop right now is only going to be available until January 31st. Also, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. Really, Lincoln? You want Battle the Dragon? Really? As we wrap up, if everyone could drop a bye, DJ, in the chat, I appreciate y'all. Spuddy, thank you for feeding the dragon. Lincoln, thank you for battling the dragon. Yeah, they're going to say bye to you. My dragon was victorious. That is beautiful to see.
You got some more time.
I know, buddy. Do you have baby sizes?
See you later,
Voltaire, I
DJ.
can absolutely make baby sizes. What size is your baby? Tell me, quick.
Someone's crying.
Because I can make, like, his size.
Baby size, body size.
Right now, he's in, like, a 6-month.
Dad, baby size.
I could absolutely put
Bye,
baby merch.
Voltaire. Have a nice day. Boo boo.
Voltaire, what size is your baby? Don't leave. Yep, I got a little one on the way. Oh, okay, I got you. Congratulations, Voltaire. I got you. I got you, I got you, I got you. Say less. I got you. I got you. That's so cool, Voltaire. Bye, DJ. Bye, baby DJ and Doña. Baby is coming in June. Oh, the baby.
Bye, baby DJ.
I got you, Voltaire. Say less words. I got you. I'll put something up just for you. Thank you. I'll try my best, DJ. You'll have a great day, Voltaire. All right, my loves. I will see y'all tomorrow for another Gemini for our weekly chat with Spuddy. Spuddy, I'm gonna hit you up real quick.
There's a lot.
I know.
There's a lot of purple.
There's a lot of purple. I know everyone in the chat is purple for some reason. That's so funny.
There's a lot of gray too.
Love y'all. Spuddy, I'll be texting you in just a second.
Excuse me. There's a lot of gray.
Yeah.
My
all right,
goodness.
y'all. Love you all. Have a great day. See y'all tomorrow for me and Spuddy stream at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. All right. Bye, y'all. DJ, stop.